Chapter 3. Becoming the Dopamine Alchemist. Dopamine is the currency of motivation, the electric pulse that drives the hunter's chase and the artist's obsession. But here's what they don't tell you. Dopamine isn't just about pleasure. It's about anticipation. It's the bowstring pulled taut before the arrow flies, the silence before the storm, the breath held before the dive. Most people are dopamine beggars, chasing crumbs of synthetic highs, likes, swipes, binge-watched cliffhangers, while the true alchemists among us engineer it. They don't just feel motivation, they architect it in themselves and others. This section is your initiation into becoming one of them. To read motivational states, your own or someone else's, you must first understand the two animals warring inside every human brain, the monkey and the elephant. The monkey is your dopamine system, frantic, curious, always scanning for the next shiny object, the next hit of novelty. The elephant is your serotonin system, slow, steady, seeking safety, satisfaction, and deep connection. A life dominated by the monkey is a life of addiction, burnout, and empty chasing. A life dominated by the elephant is a life of stagnation, boredom, and missed opportunities. The art is in making them dance. When the monkey's chase is earned, when the effort matches the reward, and the elephant's contentment is sustained, when the reward delivers real fulfillment, you create a feedback loop of unstoppable motivation. This is the voltage of the hunter, the coherence of the sovereign. Here's how to diagnose it in real time. Start with physiology. Dopamine states announce themselves through the body before the mind even registers them. A person in a high dopamine chase state will have dilated pupils, rapid blinking, forward-leaning posture, and quick, clipped speech. Their hands might fidget. Their breath will be shallow and high in the chest. This is the monkey in overdrive, scanning for the next fix. Contrast this with the serotonin-saturated elephant. Slow blinking, deep breaths, relaxed posture. A voice that lingers on vowels like a warm fire. The key isn't to judge which state is better, it's to recognize which state is dominant, and whether it's serving the person or draining them. A chronically dopamine-dominant person is one step away from burnout. A chronically serotonin-dominant person is one step away from depression. The alchemist's work is to calibrate. Next, listen for language patterns. Words are neurochemical triggers, and the right question can reveal a person's motivational wiring. Someone in a dopamine deficit will use phrases like, "I can't focus," "I'm so bored," "Nothing excites me anymore." They're starving for chase, for novelty, for the electric jolt of wanting. Someone drowning in synthetic dopamine, think social media scroll, porn, sugar binges, will speak in fragmented, erratic bursts, their sentences trailing off as their mind jumps to the next distraction. Meanwhile, someone in a serotonin slump will say, "What's the point? I don't care anymore. I just want to feel safe." They're craving depth, connection, and the quiet hum of having. Your job is to meet them where they are, to lead them toward balance. If they're dopamine depleted, introduce micro chases. What's one small thing you've been curious about but haven't tried? If they're serotonin starved, anchor them in gratitude. What's one thing you already have that you're proud of? Now observe the behavioural loops. Dopamine isn't a single spike, it's a rhythm. Watch how someone structures their day. Do they jump from task to task, never finishing? That's a dopamine addict, hooked on the high of starting, but terrified of the serotonin-rich work of completing. Do they procrastinate endlessly, waiting for perfect motivation? That's a serotonin-dominant mind, resisting the discomfort of chase. The alchemist's move is to design loops that satisfy both animals. For dopamine junkie, break the tasks into micro chases, tiny winnable games with clear endpoints. For the serotonin seeker, frame effort as safety. This isn't just work, it's building the foundation for your freedom. The magic happens when you turn the elephant's patience into the monkey's playground. Here's a real-world diagnostic drill you can use right now. Pick a conversation, any conversation, and play spot the animal. Listen for the monkey's tell. Rapid topic shifts, interrupting, finishing your sentences, or glossing over details. This person is chasing novelty, even if it's just the novelty of their own thoughts. The elephant's tell. Long pauses, deep sighs, repetitive phrases like, I just want to feel at peace. This person is craving stability, even if it's the stability of stagnation. The alchemist's tell. A rhythm of both. Questions that spark curiosity. What if you tried this? Followed by anchors of reassurance. You've got this. Remember when you. This is the language of the sovereign, the one who knows how to hunt and how to feast. Finally, master the voltage check. High voltage people, those operating at peak coherence, have a magnetic quality. They're not just motivated, they transmit motivation. You can feel it in their presence, a hum, a charge, like standing near a live wire. Low voltage people drain energy. Their words feel heavy, their presence like a black hole. The alchemist's discipline is to never let their own voltage drop below the threshold of influence. This means guarding your dopamine like a sacred fire. No mindless scrolling, no empty calories, no relationships that feel like energy vampires. It means designing your environment, your space, your media, your conversations to spark you, not sedate you. Here's the first alchemy assignment for the next 24 hours. Track down your dopamine elephant dance. Every hour ask, which animal is leading right now? Is this serving me, or am I feeding an addiction? What's one small chase I can design for my monkey? What's one deep satisfaction I can offer my elephant? Write it down. You're not just observing, you're recoding. And once you can read this code in yourself, you'll see it everywhere. Like suddenly noticing the matrix. That's when the real game begins. Micro-chasing. Engineering daily dopamine loops for momentum. In the pursuit of mastery of your own minds and the minds of others, we must first understand the fundamental currency of motivation. Dopamine, this neurotransmitter, often misunderstood as merely the pleasure chemical, is in fact the driving force behind anticipation, desire, and the relentless pursuit of goals. To harness its power, we must become adept at engineering daily dopamine loops, a process we'll refer to as micro-chasing. Micro-chasing is the art of creating small, achievable goals that trigger the release of dopamine, thereby fueling our motivation and momentum. This technique is rooted in the understanding that our brains are wired to seek rewards, and by structuring our daily activities to include frequent small rewards, we can maintain a steady flow of dopamine. This not only keeps us motivated, but also prevents the burnout that often comes from chasing large, distant goals without immediate feedback. To begin your journey of a dopamine alchemist, start by identifying the activities that naturally trigger dopamine release for you. This could be as simple as completing a small task, engaging in a brief physical activity, or even enjoying a favourite song. The key is to recognise these moments and intentionally structure your day to include them. For example, if you find a short walk boosts your mood and energy, schedule several brief walks throughout your day. Each completion of this activity, it'll serve as a micro reward, releasing dopamine and keeping your motivation high. Next, apply the principle of stacking these micro rewards. This involves linking small dopamine triggering activities together to create a chain of positive reinforcement. For instance, you might start your day with a quick meditation session, followed by a healthy breakfast, then a brief exercise routine. Each of these activities can be a micro reward, and their cumulative effect will be a significant boost in your overall dopamine levels. This stacking technique not only enhances your motivation, but also creates a sense of accomplishment and progress. It's crucial to understand that the quality of your dopamine loops matter as much as the quantity. Not all dopamine triggers are created equal. Activities that provide a sense of achievement, learning, or social connection tend to have a more profound and lasting impact on your motivation. For example, engaging in a meaningful conversation with a friend or learning a new skill, it can be more rewarding than mindlessly scrolling through social media. Therefore, aim to design your dopamine loops around activities that are not only enjoyable, but also meaningful and enriching. Another essential aspect of micro-chasing is the concept of dopamine fasting. This involves periodically abstaining from activities that provide quick synthetic dopamine hits, such as excessive social media use or indulging in unhealthy foods. By doing so, you allow your dopamine receptors to reset and become more sensitive to natural earned rewards. This practice can significantly enhance the effectiveness of your micro-chasing efforts, making each small reward more impactful and satisfying. To implement dopamine fasting, start by identifying the activities that provide quick, but ultimately unsatisfying dopamine hits. These are often the activities that we turn to when we're bored or procrastinating. Once you've identified these, set specific times during the day or week when you'll abstain from them. For example, you might decide to avoid social media for the first hour of your day, or designate one day a week as a dopamine fast day, where you focus solely on activities that provide deeper, more meaningful rewards. As you become more adept at micro-chasing, you'll begin to notice a profound shift in your motivation and productivity. Tasks that once felt daunting will become more manageable, and your overall sense of accomplishment and satisfaction will increase. This is the power of becoming a dopamine alchemist, engineering your daily activities to create a steady flow of motivation and momentum. Remember, The goal of micro-chasing is not to create a life of constant pleasure, but rather to cultivate a sense of steady, sustainable motivation. By focusing on small, meaningful rewards and periodically resetting your dopamine receptors, you can maintain a high level of motivation and productivity without the burnout that often accompanies the pursuit of large distant goals. Incorporating micro-chasing in your daily routine is a powerful step toward becoming a dopamine alchemist. By understanding and harnessing the power of dopamine, you can engineer your life to be one of steady motivation, accomplishment and fulfillment. Start small, be consistent. Watch as the cumulative effect of these micro-rewards transforms your life. The effort tolerance gym. Building your prefrontal cortex like muscle. The prefrontal cortex, it's your brain's CEO, the command center for focused discipline and long-term vision. But like any muscle, it atrophies without resistance. Modern life has turned most of us into dopamine beggars, chasing quick hits of synthetic reward, while our prefrontal cortex weakens, like an unused limb. The solution: treat it like a gym. Welcome to the effort tolerance gym, where discomfort is the weight, persistence is the rep, and your rewired brain is the prize. The first rule of the effort tolerance gym is this: earned dopamine builds empires. Synthetic dopamine burns them down. Every time you resist the urge to scroll, to snack, or to numb out with another episode, you're doing a mental push-up. Research from Spark, the revolutionary new science of exercise and the brain, by John Ratley, confirms that sustained effort, whether physical or cognitive, it rewires neural pathways, increasing prefrontal cortex density and resilience. Think of it as neurochemical compound interest. Each act of discipline deposits a fraction of a percent more willpower into your account. Over time, the compounding effort, it turns you into someone who naturally leans into challenges instead of avoiding them. But how do you start? Begin with micro-chases, tiny, deliberate discomforts that train your brain to tolerate effort. Identify a comfort crutch, something you default to when you're bored or stressed, like social media, junk food, aimless TV, porn. Replace it with a 5-minute effort rep, something that requires force but isn't overwhelming, like reading a dense paragraph, doing 10 push-ups, writing 3 sentences in a journal. Notice the resistance, that tightness in your chest, the voice saying, just this once. That is your prefrontal cortex's weak signal, trying to override the dopamine monkey screaming for instant gratification. Push through for 5 minutes, no more, no less. This isn't about heroics, it's about consistency. Mastery begins when you align conscious intent with subconscious habit. 5 minutes is the sweet spot, long enough to build tolerance, short enough to avoid burnout. Celebrate the win, not with a reward, that's synthetic dopamine, but with a recognition. I just strengthened my mind. This is earned dopamine, the kind that builds rather than drains. The second rule: stillness is soil. Your brain isn't just a muscle, it's a garden. Overstimulation, endless notifications, multitasking, sugar spikes. It's like dumping salt on the soil. It kills the microbes, your neural receptors, that help you grow. Chronic stress and synthetic rewards, like sugar screens, constant novelty, they hijack your dopamine to serotonin balance, leaving you wired but exhausted. The antidote: dopamine fasting, not in the extreme, monk-like sense, but as strategic pauses. So try this: the 20-minute reset. Set a timer, sit quietly, no phone, no music, no input. Let your mind wander. At first, it'll feel like withdrawal. That's the addiction talking, but by minute 12, something shifts. Your prefrontal cortex, starved of distraction, starts to reboot. You'll emerge clearer, like a computer after a hard reset. The sensory detox. Pick one day a week to reduce input. Eat simple meals, no processed sugar. Avoid screens after sunset. Speak less. Notice how your internal dialogue slows. This isn't deprivation, it's recalibration. Research on gratitude and neuroplasticity shows simplicity rewires the brain for deeper satisfaction. The third rule: play the long game. Your prefrontal cortex thrives on delayed gratification. But modern life is a minefield of short-term traps. Here's how to outsmart it. The 10-10-10 rule. Before acting on an impulse, hit snooze. Order takeout. Skip the workout. Ask, how will I feel about this in 10 minutes, 10 hours, 10 days? This forces your brain to project consequences, engaging the prefrontal cortex. The hell yes or hell no filter. If a task or opportunity doesn't excite you at a gut level, it's a no. This isn't laziness, it's energy economics. Your prefrontal cortex has limited bandwidth. Spend it wisely. The progress tracker. Write down one thing you did today, the required effort. Not outcomes, like, I lost 5 pounds. But actions like, chose salad over fries, wrote 200 words. Review weekly. This builds effort identity, the belief that you're someone who does hard things. The final rule: embrace the suck. Discomfort isn't the enemy. It's the signal that you're growing. When you feel resistance, say, this is the weight. When you want to quit, say, this is the rep. When you doubt yourself, say, this is the muscle building. Over time, your brain will start to crave the burn because it associates effort with growth. That's when you know you've graduated from the gym. You're no longer training effort tolerance. You're living it. Remember, your prefrontal cortex, it doesn't care about your excuses. It only responds to action. So start small. Stay consistent and watch as your mind transforms from a dopamine beggar into a dopamine architect. Someone who doesn't just chase rewards, but builds systems that create them. Intervention alchemy. Rescuing others from burnout and numbness. In the realm of human connection, few skills are as transformative as the ability to rescue others from the abyss of burnout and numbness. This isn't merely about offering a sympathetic ear or a pat on the back. It's about becoming a dopamine alchemist. Someone who can artfully modulate the neurochemistry of those around them through the power of conversation and presence. This section will guide you through the process of intervention alchemy, providing you with the tools to help others reclaim their vitality and passion. To begin, it's essential to understand the landscape of burnout and numbness. Burnout is not simply exhaustion. It's a state of chronic stress that leads to a physical, emotional, and mental depletion. Numbness, on the other hand, is a protective mechanism where the mind and body shut down to avoid further pain or overwhelm. Both states are characterized by a severe depletion of dopamine, the neurotransmitter responsible for motivation, drive, and the anticipation of reward. The first step in intervention alchemy is to recognize the signs of burnout and numbness. These may include chronic fatigue, lack of motivation, feelings of cynicism or detachment, and a sense of inefficiency. In the words of Dr. Amit Agarwal, when treating emotional disease, most conventional doctors or psychiatrists prescribe drugs that alter the levels of neurotransmitters in the body. Even though conventional medicine may control symptoms, they don't address the root cause of the imbalance. This underscores the importance of addressing the underlying issues rather than merely masking the symptoms. Once you've identified the signs, the next step is to create a safe and supportive environment. This involves active listening, empathy, and validation. People experiencing burnout and numbness often feel isolated and misunderstood. By providing a non-judgmental space where they can express their feelings and experiences, you begin to rebuild their sense of safety and connection. The placebo response is essentially a psychosomatic effect, a much misunderstood term which simply signifies mind and body. There's no way in truth to separate the mind from the body that it inhabits. The two are inextricably linked. This highlights the power of the mind-body connection in healing. The third step is to help the individual reconnect with their sense of purpose and passion. This can be achieved through a series of carefully crafted questions and exercises designed to reignite that inner drive. For example, you might ask them to recall a time when they felt truly alive and engaged, and then explore what elements of that experience can be reintroduced into their current life. Beginners often ask why Qigong exercise must always be performed like a slow-motion movie. Why not speed up and get on with it, they ask. Speed is the scourge of modern life and the enemy of health. This emphasizes the importance of slowing down and reconnecting with one's inner self. Another powerful tool in intervention alchemy is the use of storytelling and metaphors. Stories have a unique ability to bypass the critical mind and speak directly to the unconscious, where a deep lasting change can occur. By sharing stories of resilience, transformation, and triumph, you can help the individual see new possibilities for their own life. Thinking back to your adolescence, you probably associate key memories with the soundtracks that played during those formative years. This shows the profound impact of sensory experience on our memories and emotions. It's also crucial to help the individual develop practical strategies for managing stress and rebuilding their energy reserves. This may include techniques like mindfulness, meditation, gentle physical activity, encouraging small achievable goals. It can help rebuild their sense of efficiency and control. Big pharma and drug companies, they often attempt to replicate what nature offers us through herbs and other natural compounds. For example, turmeric is one of the most effective natural anti-inflammatory agents. This shows the importance of natural and holistic approaches to healing. It's essential to help the individual cultivate a sense of community and connection. Burnout and numbness, they often thrive in isolation, so fostering a sense of belonging can become a powerful antidote. This might involve connecting them with supportive groups, encouraging them to engage in meaningful social activities, or simply being a consistent and caring presence in their life. People are increasingly aware of how certain activities, like playing video games or scrolling through social media feeds, can trigger a dopamine release in our brains. However, when it comes to group activities, the dopamine release can be even more profound and sustaining. This highlights the importance of community and shared experiences in fostering well-being. Intervention alchemy is not a quick fix, it's a journey of transformation and healing. By understanding the landscape of burnout and numbness, creating a safe and supportive environment, reconnecting individuals with their sense of purpose, using storytelling and metaphor, developing practical strategies for stress management, and cultivating a sense of community, you can help others reclaim their vitality and passion. As you embark on this journey, remember your words and presence have the power to ignite the spark of motivation and drive in those who've lost their way.